Joining me
Thanks,
now
Maria.
with a look at the impact on America and beyond, the Senate Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs member, Pennsylvania Senator John Fetterman. Senator, thank you so much for being here. And you have supported President Trump's strikes on Iran. Your reaction at this point today?
Well, first, I just want to extend my absolute condolences for the American services that lost their lives. They were all heroes, but now they've been lost, and now they'll be remembered as the kind of heroes. Absolutely grieve with their families. I'm so sorry for their loss. It's an absolutely a noble initiation. Initiative there, and absolutely epic fury was a noble pursuit.
Yes. And it was a noble pursuit, which, of course, is what the president said as well in his explanation on Saturday. Where does this go now? You have a vote coming up on the president's war powers. How will you vote?
Well, I would really encourage everybody that are watching right now, look up and read the War Powers Resolution from 1973 and what that requires. What that requires is that provide 48 hours of notification, and President Trump had done that. And then that means after 60 days, then they have to withdraw those soldiers, or perhaps even for an extra 30-day extension. Neither of those things have been broken for that. There are no American boots on the ground. So that's why, epic is now, that was absolutely not, it violates either one of that. And now people, they either don't understand that, or now what they're saying, things are just not true, that it wasn't illegal, or for that, they did not violate War Powers Resolution from 1973.
Right. So you will vote in what way on Tuesday?
Well, of course, I'm going to vote it down. It's really, it's not necessary, honestly, the entire thing. It's really an empty gesture. There's not going to be any votes. But when you're not even breaking the War Powers Resolution, why are you even doing that?
Yeah.
So, I mean, and also, let's also be clear. I'm tired of seeing people, go on social media and saying we can never allow Iran to acquire a nuclear bomb, and Israel always deserves insecurity, and they deserve to exist. Well, if you're not willing to do about it, then it must just be empty words.
Yeah.
Are you really? Does it matter? No. But when President Trump was willing to do the kinds of things that are necessary to provide those things. Now, if you really want to prevent Iran to acquire a nuclear bomb, he did try to negotiate with them. There has been treaties. There has been other negotiations that never worked. And they had 900 pounds of just below weapons grade weapons. So, here, do you really committed, or are you just going to drop empty tweets and just try to have it both ways and pretend that it really matters? So, yeah. And that's why I'm going to support that. As a Democrat, I know that's absolutely the right thing to do. And so for me right now, the world is better. And now China and Russia are now condemning that. China is buying the Iranian oil, and that's how Iran underwrites the proxies and that regime.
Yeah.
So, and China is going to sell them their hypersonic missiles that would be aimed right at American ships too.
Very important point ahead of the president's trip to Beijing, by the way. Senator, for all of those reasons, you are one of several Democrats who have supported this operation. Do you see increasing support from Democrats on President Trump's efforts with regard to Iran?
I don't know, but my support's there because, especially when our military's been engaged, you have to go country over party.
Yeah.
I know what parts of my base demands, but I'm always going to stand, with our country, and they're going to stand with our military and the heroes as well. And how can't you celebrate that the Iranian leadership has been eliminated?
Yeah.
Doesn't that make the region more safe, more secure, more just, more free?
Yeah.
And now, of course, there's other things It's possible right now, but right now, why can't you just acknowledge that? And I put that out on my social media.
Yes.
Look at the kind of people that are grieving that or now protesting that. Even on Columbia University, one of the student groups just announced on Twitter saying, "Death to America."
Wow.
It's just like, this is what I'm saying. Look at the kind of people that grieve for that garbage.
Yeah.
And it's like that's the point. And I'm going to be on that side. For me, as a Democrat, I think Democrats country over party.
Yeah.
What the base demands means nothing to me. What's the right thing and the right side of history is what happened with Epic Fury.
Yeah, I saw a video earlier with Iranians and Israelis celebrating in the streets of North London. It was just an amazing sight. Senator, thank you for your leadership on this. We so appreciate your time this morning, sir.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kayleigh McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.